Welcome to Jasiri. Now, there's a lot going on in Nigeria, and so today we're bringing some of the stories to you live and direct. We have a lot to get through today, so let's get into it.
But before we get into that, ladies, I really have something I need to get off my chest. I saw something over the weekend that was really disturbing. In fact, I am shaking. I had nightmares for days. It was incredulous, the vision. I saw a man that was caught with twin babies in bags. You know, those bags that we used to, that rice is usually put in. He had apparently killed their mother and ripped the babies right out of her womb. And of course, the simple intent is to use them for rituals. I'm wondering, are you not alarmed at the prevalence of these ritual killings? It seems every day we wake up, there are new stories of somebody caught somewhere with somebody that they want to use for rituals. Apparently, there are some voodoo masters or babalawos or whatever you want to call them that make them believe that killing a person would bring wealth to them. Even though me as a person, I have been thinking, I do not understand the science of it. How you think killing a person will translate to money for you? Is money spiritual? Is it not printed? Is it not CBN that prints our money? So what demon can carry physical money and bring to your house? I really need somebody to explain that to me. And the thing is, it's so scary now. Aside that we're seeing ritual killings every day. Look at the age of the perpetrators. They are getting younger and younger by the day. Before, it was old people that you see them shriveled, that you see are caught doing this kind of things. But now you're seeing younger people. Just a few days, we saw a boy that took his sister's child to a babalawo for ritual purposes. The babalawo was so shaken, he had to call police that, what is the audacity this young generation have, or their obsession about getting money? What do you want to buy? Even if you have everything, have you not seen stories of people that have immense wealth and they still commit suicide, knowing fully well that money can never solve all your problems? Or should we look at the gender of the people that are usually their victims? Women, girls. If you look at 90%, I know I don't have the right statistics, but 90% of the stories I have read is usually a woman that has been killed. It's either they're taking their body parts out and you're wondering that where is anybody safe, especially women and the girl child. Half of the time I would look for prosecution purposes. I have not seen. There is no prosecution. I will see that, oh, this person was caught with human being for ritual purposes and he has been convicted. I haven't seen a lot. So how do we stop these people from doing it if there's no deterrent? If they know that the arms of the law, the long arms of the law will catch up with them and they would rot in jail, maybe some of them would just stop this thing that they're doing. I'm begging everyone, please be security conscious. I know that the police cannot be in everybody's house, but at least you be very careful the company you keep. Anything that you see that is sketchy, please avoid those spaces and those kinds of people. If you stay amongst people that talk about money all the time and they don't have a job, run from them. Because we cannot continue like this. It's easy to look at it in a video and just look past it. Until it gets close to you, or maybe someone you know, or someone around your community, maybe that's when this thing will hit home a little different. I'm sorry, ladies, but it's so overwhelming.
You know what Lola was talking about it yesterday? I didn't really get the full picture of what she was talking about. Then our makeup artist showed me the video. So this man had been beaten by, I guess, the community and those who caught him. And even in the handling, I knew at that time that the babies were dead.
Yes.
But even the handling of the babies, you knew that this man had no regard for life. He killed their mother. I don't think they were full form, but they may not have been full term.
Yeah.
So yes, they were older. Probably they looked like about 8 months. Maybe she was due anytime soon in a way, Sha. He killed their mother, cut open her stomach, and removed these children, left her to die. The last thought she would have had was of her children, of these babies. and he put them into bags.
Yes, that bag of
to
rice.
carry them to somebody who says that I'm going to make you wealthy. I don't know if you guys are not afraid, but I'm terrified for this country. And you talk about people should be careful. Lolo, how are you careful? How are you careful of your brother?
Yeah.
The brother who took his sister's
child.
How are you supposed to be careful of your brother? How are you supposed to be careful of the friends you grew up with? We're talking about people who have friends of years. Okay, even all these young kids.
Yeah.
Do you remember the one that they said, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, that one boy out of a group of like 4, they wanted to use his girlfriend for ritual. And I don't know if it's an education issue, an ignorance issue, a poverty issue. I don't know what it is. But where do we see all this belief in rituals leading to wealth? Where did it come from?
What is the science of it? It doesn't have a science.
Even if it makes sense that you will get money from wealth, I am so confused and shocked as to how people would sell their conscience and peace of mind. Like, people have made peace with the fact that they may never be able to sleep at night again. They will see the faces of their victims, but they are completely fine with it because there's no such action that doesn't have, consequences. But you already know what you have to do. And you said something about, the truth is, most times these people don't even talk about it as much. You know, when you say, like, anyone talking about money.
I know, like, a lot of young boys that I see these days, you would see them.
Yeah,
they don't have any source of income, but they're always talking about, what I'm going to use money for. When I make this big money, when I win this big bet. You will know that there's a desperation in this circle.
But then again, one can never be too careful, honestly.
So
where does the desperation come from? We need to start looking at, so there's the people who are somehow convincing people that shall bring that pregnant woman, shall bring that baby, shall bring that young boy, I can make you rich. Wealthy. There are the people who believe it. But where is this desperation from? Because we obviously have a society where money, access to power and power sort of cocoon you from the realities of life. So we need to ask ourselves, where does the desperation stem from? I remember the video, I think that was last year too, of a boy who took a car, some kind of high-end car home to his parents. And the mother said, take it back. She was like, where did it come from? And I remember growing up, a pencil like this, you cannot bring a pencil that your parents did not buy for you into your home. So in a generation, how did we get here?
So what are you saying, how did we get here? Do you see the display of wealth seeming, before, when we were growing up, the visual of it was a bit away. But now, you can just stay on social media and you will feel as if your life is ruined.
And then the question of, so where the desperation comes from is the pressure. And then what fuels it is the knowing that when you eventually have that money, people will celebrate you. Because we're in a society where we celebrate. In fact, it's like we celebrate wealth that we do not understand. We don't point the ones that are legit. A 9-to-5er has money is normal. But a young girl posting a G-Wagon and says, God did. That's national anthem now. We all know that God did. But everybody is putting in the comments, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I'm so... How? And the girl is watching, I'm like, we both know what she did to get the money, right? And since she's being celebrated, then I don't mind. And that's where it starts from. Because we celebrate these things, we don't question them anymore. Even parents no longer, they are scared to ask you what you do for a living because they don't want to hear the answer.
In fact, you're so spot on. I'm afraid for this generation, but we will keep speaking about it on this table because if we don't, who will? At least we can stand for something. Please, mothers, watch your children.
You said?
You said parents.
Lola, let's not do that.
Mothers, let's not do that.
Watch your children. Watch them. I watch my children like an hawk. Half of the time when I see Mama, so where do you get that? So what are you doing with it? I question him a lot. So how do you think money is made? No, it's true. It's true. Because I have to let him, my son loves money. But I had to let him know that You work to earn.
I do appreciate that because this generation no longer in fact, we have demonized hard work. I can't count how many people have told me, why do you work so hard? And it's not coming from a place of concern that you need to rest. It's a place of, my mantra is soft work. What is the soft work that will bring you the kind of money you want? We have demonized hard work, and it's so sad. And that's like the basis for you. It's like you will do every other thing to make money than work hard.
Yes. And that's what we see these days, when easy money, they can just stay on TikTok and dance and loads of money will come. That means you're not really doing anything.
But it's a change from generation to generation, because I also don't want us to demonize the way in which this generation can make their money. That's different than how previous generations. That is the change in the culture of work.
We know the culture of work has changed.
Exactly, that is still their work. So even now, I remember Corey. So I was going through Corey Day's school bag or whatever, and something was missing. I asked her, where is it? She said that one of her friends took it. I said, what? One of your friends took it? I said, go back and tell that friend. And she said the friend took it home, and that the friend says that he was going to bring it back. So I gave her like 2 or 3 days, and I could have let it go. But I said, where is it? She said, I've not. I said, go back and tell that friend that your mother said it's not hers and it was not given to her. She needs to bring it back. That if her parents cannot ask where she got it from, you ask, because I worked hard for my money. Do you know how many of those things I want to replace for you every year? Every time I have to replace something, Corey, I'm taking it from your piggy bank. And because I'm making you understand, if you want to give, that's a different thing. Don't go and give the one that I gave you for school that you're making use of. We have so many things wrong. And when we look at our politicians, when we look at our society, when we look at a lack of accountability across board, it starts from the home. The Nigerian home is the single unit where I can't remember who was the person who said it. It was Aisha Yusufu. That the contact that most Nigerians have with corruption or with some kind of dictatorship, starts in their homes. Well, if we look back at many of these people who are doing some of the things that they're doing, what is their home life like? And it's not a justification, because your parents can do everything. They can do the best for you. They can give you the best, and you can decide to be a useless adult. We see it in too many people.
True, because a lot of us are living, breathing trauma, and we don't even know it. And we're in a society where we don't prioritize therapy as much. Is when you now do some things and then they want to, unfortunately, use it as justification. That's when they find out, oh, you're like this because your parents are like this. So we need to watch out.
Honestly.
I'm just thinking, once I saw that video yesterday,
it's trauma. I can't even see it.
And that's why there's no point in even covering it with
it's
not anything. And we need to really, really start asking ourselves about the society we're living in. You can get on a bus and you end up disappeared. You're walking to the market, you end up disappeared.
When I keep saying that we need some level of control on social media, I know a lot of people might not understand, but I'm an advocate for some kind of control. Do you know all these charlatans are parading themselves on social media? Most of the boys that have been caught in ritual killings in recent time will tell you they saw this voodoo man from TikTok advertising their wares, telling people to come and do waist beads to entrap husbands and men.
Something chicken.
Blatantly.
There's something chicken that we won't talk about. There's something chicken. So now I need to ask you, Lola, do you feel that in this 21st century Nigeria in 2025, Nollywood still has a role to play? Because let's not forget some of the movies we saw growing up. And even if the movies had a consequence for the person who was involved in the ritual, the person still somehow made money, lived for a while. They start decaying, their children start dying, but they still enjoyed life for a while.
Yes, but you know that African stories, that is what our culture is really based on. And the kinds of stories, we can only tell who we are in stories. And when we were growing up, everybody knew that every household that had most of our household had more than one wife. And of course, you know that in those households, there'll be a lot of interplay amongst the wife. It's either somebody is poisoning somebody's children, somebody feels the child is doing better. You know, those are the things and the realities we can showcase. But like we all know, when you watch a film, you can take the good of it and you can take the bad of it.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you perceive it. So this is just a general call to everybody. At least we want your conscience to wake up. Young man, there is something called hard work. Young woman, your body is not a shop that you sell. Wear and tear happens to our bodies, whether you like it or not. If you see people that work out a lot, They reap the rewards till their old age.
Yeah.
And if you live an indulgent life, we see all those 600k pounds life. They live an indulgent life and they see the results in their bodies too. So whatever choices you are making today, think of tomorrow.
All right, so we'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we told you we have stories to get through and we'll get right into them. Let's go straight to it after this break. Thank you for staying with us. Now, our first story has the Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria raising concerns over an ongoing diesel supply crisis, warning that telecom operations across Nigeria risk shutting down. ATCON President Tony Emokpere explained that the strike by petroleum tanker drivers caused by alleged harassment by police officers in Lagos State has led to a halt in fuel distribution. Now, since telecom base stations rely on diesel, this disruption threatens mobile and internet services for millions of users. Now, the association also warns that without immediate intervention, telecom networks could face total shutdown, affecting emergency response systems, businesses, and daily communications nationwide. The association is urging the Lagos and Ogun state governments to facilitate diesel release from depots to telecom operators to prevent a crisis. ATCON has called on security agencies and petroleum unions to swiftly resolve the issue, warning that prolonged fuel supply disruptions could severely impact businesses and individuals who rely on stable communication networks.
Anyway, now let's take a look at the petroleum tankers driver strike. The strike was initiated due to persistent harassment by police officers in Lagos State. The strike began over the weekend of February 22nd and 23rd, 2025, when drivers halted fuel loading operations, alleging mistreatment by law enforcement. Additionally, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to pay outstanding bridging claims of 100 billion naira. Failure to meet this demand may result in a nationwide strike, further exacerbating the fuel distribution challenges. So much to unpack here.
There's still more.
Police harassment, did there?
Okay, so recently we went to the street to ask Nigerians how they felt about the new tariff hike and the NLC's plans to go on strike on the 1st of March over the hike. We'll look at what Nigerians had to say in a minute.
So sorry about that confusion, because I don't understand what they're saying. I'm confused. Yeah. So because we've had fuel crisis and tanker strikes before, in whether it's diesel or petroleum, but I don't really remember hearing so much about the potential for there to be a telco blackout. And then we've just raised tariff,
by 50%.
Telco tariff by 50%, which is what we're going to see Nigerians react to in just a bit. But I'm so confused because Lagos State says that they don't want the place where they're picking up, and particularly around the Dangote refinery, to be like Apapa turned out to be. And Apapa became a huge mess. Property values in Apapa dropped. Businesses in Apapa suffered. Roads in Apapa suffered. People, it was just nonsense. So you're saying you don't want them, and you're using this evacuation call-up system for the trucks to line up and to be orderly. But the trucks are saying it's not the system. It's the officials who are using money as an inducement, who are demanding money, and they're turning the whole thing into a mess again.
So whether or not this tariff hike thing is resolved, we may still get cut off.
Yeah, somehow.
Nigeria, my country.
You know, I'm always wondering that, is it that we don't see, this is what I don't like, the fact that we don't think through things. When you set up a system, are there no people that sat down and thought this thing that, okay, if we do this, if we do that, what are the repercussions? Did you look at it to the very end to know whether this is going to help or not? Because if police are on the way and they are demanding money off these tanker drivers, you know, most of these tanker drivers, it's not the owner of the tanker that is driving it. It's the boys. And if you are expected to bribe through every checkpoint that you have, all these monies will be added to the diesel money, and at the end of the day, these telcos will be paying exorbitant money to get their diesel to fuel all their telecom. And one Tolu was even saying that all of us wanted to eat her. That are they not going through the same crisis? Not even knowing that they are even going through a special crisis that requires a lot of people to put eyes on it. And because petrol is a staple, diesel is a staple. We need it. Why is it so difficult for there to be a way that things can be done without having to cut corners or do the wrong thing all the time? There was a time, if you looked at Lagos, you will see tanker drivers parked on every
road, every road.
Did you know how Mile 2 used to be? Do you know how it was from Mile 12? Mile 2. Tankers will park all the way to almost Sele. So and you'll be in the thick of that traffic.
My husband grew up in Apapa and we used to go to church in Apapa. So when he would tell me about what Apapa used to be.
Apapa was an eyeball area in Lagos.
Is this the same place?
No, Apapa was a kind of Ikoyi because a lot of expatriates lived there because oil was there.
Yes.
So it was a hub. If you say you're going to Apapa, you're going to like a high-end side of Lagos. But now it's a shadow of itself. All the property in that place has reduced in price. Everybody.
Did you know that there's an amusement park in Apapa?
Of course, amusement park in Apapa.
Amusement park. I didn't know for the longest time there's an Apapa amusement park. That used to be the rave.
That was the first amusement park we knew when we were young.
But you know, this is not amusing. But this is not new. If you guys remember back to the Buhari administration, one time where former President Muhammadu Buhari was out of the country and Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo was standing in, and he took those pictures when he was in the helicopter that he had to go and look over the Apapa traffic, and he said, we're going to do this, going to do this. We're constantly hearing about what government is going to do. They'll set up a committee, there'll be a joint task force, they'll set up a special police or a special navy or whoever wants to be involved to oversee this and to do it. I passed there many times when I'm climbing from Alaka up towards Coste. You see them. There's just a small barricade there. They're stopping. Why are you stopping trucks?
Why are you stopping trucks?
Okay, so if it's the evacuation call-up system, where are the truck parks? Because that's also part of the concerns and the criticism that there's not enough space in the truck parks. They're supposed to be at the truck parks, then they're called up in batches to go and do whatever they need to do, offloading, uptaking, whatever it's supposed to be at that point. But why do we constantly have people on the road? Which is why I'm always corruption thrives as long as there are more people on the value chain. The moment that Nigeria is successful in using technology for certain things, you're cutting so many people off.
But we even need, that's why I say the place of planning. You know, if Lagos is supposed to function effectively, you see all these beautiful things they're doing, they're dismantling shanties and all these structures that are not supposed to be. We need to replan Lagos. Because if we're going to service everybody, these tank spaces are not enough to be able to take in all the tankers that we have on the road. So we have to start thinking outside the box. What can we do to alleviate this challenge? Because if we don't alleviate it, the people will continue to suffer. And it is us that will continue to pay higher. Because if the 50% is not going to work because of all these constraints, maybe now they have to pay a helicopter to come and deliver their diesel. Who will pay?
So let's give you clarity. The strike is actually on right now, and Lagos and Ogun State are seemingly being the states that, for now, are most affected. The association says that numerous telecom sites in Lagos and Ogun State are now critically low on diesel, posing a significant threat to uninterrupted telecommunication services in the affected regions. They've called for the urgent intervention of the governors of Lagos and Ogun State to address the situation and facilitate access to the depots. There's another story, Sha, on these tanker drivers. Now, they're also threatening to strike on protests of 100 billion naira debt and the harassment. So it's not just the harassment, there's also debt. There's also a debt that the National Association of Road Transport Owners, as well as the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, is saying that they might go on a nationwide strike over unpaid debts amounting to 100 billion naira and alleged harassment by government agencies.
When they call this money, so who is supposed to pay this money?
No, I've always asked you guys, when are Nigerian people going to go on strike? Everybody else strikes for us. When are the Nigerian people as a collective going to go on strike? And I'm not saying necessarily being out on the streets, because we often see how that works. Even a sit at home, 3 days in Lagos.
Nigeria is a peculiar
Is that a question? Is that a conversation that we're ready for?
Are we ready for it?
That's where you will see division. You see a lot of people who are just don't care, really. That's where you see the difference in those that have hope in the country and those that really don't care about it.
Don't care about it.
I do not think we're that.
Most of the people they care about only their bellies. He'll tell you that
which I remember, but again,
the woman that is selling ordinary
why is she
kiosk.
poor? But why is she poor?
And she'll tell you it's the country that made her poor. Because all she has is that kiosk in front of her house, and if you don't come and buy your chewing gum, your biscuits, your this, she will not be able to feed her children, which is the true reality.
I don't know, because even this weekend I struggled with my network. I won't name the network. I know a lot of people had some funny movements with their network this weekend and everything. So I'm feeling like, are we already seeing the effects of this strike that's already going out now? But and let's not forget, sorry, one more. Let's not forget that the reason that they're buying diesel is because electricity is unreliable for them. So base stations run on generators. Base stations are also getting attacked. Base stations are also getting damaged. I don't know. What else?
What can we do? Everybody, imagine if there's a total shutdown to you. Don't you know everything will be comatose?
So that brings me back to people refusing to protest, because if you refuse to do it now, when all is said and done, and then people cannot communicate, there's no network, you will see how much it will affect big businesses. And in the end of the day, people will now end up sitting at home.
But it's the lack of trust. A lot of people will tell you that even the people that have been doing this strike, after 2 days, government will call them to a closed door meeting. And as they come out, they say, okay, they have come to some kind of communique. They will write a 10-page, they will set up a committee that will look into the matter for the next 10 months. And at the end of the day, we will not even see what came out from the committee.
You know that I feel like when they say we will look into it, this is what I picture. Honestly, I don't think they do anything about it. Like, they just put the files and documents down and they just stare at it.
No, they're not be counting. Okay, is it 1 hour yet? Let's not go out there.
Just be staring.
We have some reactions. Don't mind us, because it just at the end of the day, it does not make sense. In a country like Nigeria, we should not be where we are in certain conversations. Let's get to some of the reactions. So we should be paying you high tariff and still tolerate nonsense. Oh man, this one may not be their fault, Cha. Who else do we have? No, I can't. Sorry.
I don't want to hear. You can't increase tariff that much, and you got complaints. Better use your blood if you have to. Make nothing do my connection.
Our level of patience as citizens needs to be studied. We've told you guys. You increase tariff only to come up with this. What else do we have? We just escaped from national grid collapse. Now national Telecom. At this point, Naija should be on Netflix. I told you guys they're a reality show. But even if we were a reality show on TV, people will say, "Oh my God, these writers! Where did they come from? That's an exaggeration. This will never happen. We are never happening."
Our level of patience needs to be studied.
It needs to be studied.
Nigerians have no chill.
But do you know that process they don't want to happen? If for some reason telecom operations go down, I think even our leaders will see a side of Nigerians they've never expected.
I hope so.
I hope so. I hope so.
Nigerians will shock you. This long suffering.
But you know, Tolu, now we have seen that mobiles are phased out. Phones, as in what did we used to call them? Phones that are just
landlines.
Landlines, yeah.
I honestly think that there are some conversations that we no longer have. Mobile telecommunications shouldn't really phase out landlines, because yes, I know that everybody has phone on call, but now we can't even. If this happens, there is nowhere we can actually resort to.
There's nowhere.
Imagine if at least this is our media office. Imagine if we have at least 2 landlines that are functional that you can call. Almost every office I know, they have mobile lines.
Yeah, I know.
As their functional office lines.
Sometimes they're not even turned on.
And I'm like,
please, let's go for a break. When we come back, we'll get you Jasir on the streets. We need to remind you how Nigerians feel about the 50% tariff hike that was announced just, I think, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and now this. But that comes up after the break.
Members of IPMAN at this press conference say it has become necessary to update the public on the lingering issue between the independent marketers and the management of the NN.
₦500.
Someone talk. I don't like how they do not. If I decide not to use my phone at all, how are you going to communicate with me? Oh, is it me that's not hearing? Hello? Why can't we hear? None of us can hear. We can't hear anything. Every day.
Members of IPMAN at this press conference.
Silly, please. Joe? Thank you. Thank you, Tolu.
Members of IPMAN at this press
It was a former boyfriend that told me, walk softly and carry a big stick. Yes. People don't always.
Of the NNDPRA.
We are extremely frustrated that 1 year after our last demand,
The Nigerian maritime workers and haulage operators are collaborating in a tripartite association.
All right, so we're still talking about the tariff hike and the possibility of telecoms being cut off entirely. We have our Jasiri on the streets.
But
right
before
now.
we get he's behind the scenes, we're going to drive us crazy. All right, so of course we're going to get into that Jasiri on the streets in just a moment. Okay, now let's go to Jasiri on the streets.
Tariff was more preferable than the new one. Before now, we are complaining that the former one is not even favorable to us. How much more when, you know, the tariff is being increased?
It's killing everybody, like including myself. I cannot imagine doing data. Then I usually used to do data for 6,000 naira, and then now going forward, I'm seeing 11,000 naira. So where do you expect me to get 11,000 naira doing data for every month?
We cannot be spending money for food, actually be spending more on data, because it's through communication when we communicate to our friends, family outside there. So we need to make it easier for us to.
We feel very, very bad and hard because since they increased that, so we're not used to move on with our phone again like that because data is too much expensive to all. I used to get 4 gig, 3 gig, but now even to 1 gig now, it's very hard to me.
Please, we are begging. We are not doing shakara, we are begging. Please just reduce it. Just bring back the data, the normal one. Just bring it back because I can't just be wasting 2,000 naira upwards just by data. That won't even last for 1 month.
The economy in Nigeria alone is, is killing with the youth. Yes, let me just use it that way. Now, not to talk less of data, and that's most what we are using to work, do a lot of things. Sure, you understand? Please, government should look at this. The suffering is too much. Please, government, help us to look at this. They say they are going on strike, right? They should go on strike. They should sit. They should look at this because before we used 1,000 naira data monthly before, but now it's not like that again. It's now about 2.5. Things are going more expensive, and once it go up, for it to come down, that's a problem.
On the other way around, if we are to look at the so-called communication company, they too, they are trying to consider their own profit rates, like the increase in their profit and it likes, but on the other way around, we the Nigerians, we too have to consider what we have as income. Ideally, 10 years back, 1,000 naira, the net present value of 1,000 naira 10 years back compared to now are two different things entirely. So as they too are trying to shoot up their own profits, it's also telling on the citizen too. So I think the government should find a way around it to balance things.
Nigeria as a whole, we are equal to the tax. So government should look onto it. And whatever decision they are taking, whatever they are doing, let them put the masses, at their heart, at first beneficiary of whatever decision which they are taking.
This is Nigeria. Even if we go on strike, even if they go on protest, whether they do not go, I definitely know that the government are not going to do anything on it.
Okay, so there you have it. That's what Nigerians are saying about the tariff hike in general. We also have our own stories here. Honestly, it's crazy. But before we...
No, tell your story. Tell your story. Because when Blessings was telling this story...
No, I was talking about last week. I think it was last week. There was a particular network that went off completely. And so it wasn't the network. I think select phones or devices.
Or select numbers.
Yes, because that same network was working on other devices. And then for like 2 days, so the first day it started, I didn't get any calls were coming in, but no WhatsApp messages, nothing. And I was like, okay, I'm fine without social media and all that.
That's fine.
I was about to step out and go home, and I realized, my Netflix, that's what I used to watch film. I had to go back and sit down because what will I be doing at home? I now started finding a solution. Thankfully, I had another device, and it was still the same network because when I tried to buy another network, because of the whole registration and everything, I couldn't get another network. So it was the same. That was when I was confident enough to go home. So it would
imagine every house.
How many things are
I use a
tied to
particular network, and it has been giving me stress for like 2 weeks. So now I have 2 people in my house that have different networks. So I would use hotspot this one when this one is working. I will hotspot this one when this one is working.
To your own when
gather to mine when mine is working. It's just unbearable.
It doesn't make any sense. And you now think about it in terms of the fact that they are the backbone, and I was sitting here defending them, saying after a decade of not being able, or a decade, or more than a decade, but at least let's say a decade of not being able to increase tariffs, they are due a tariff increase, as we've seen the rise of every other thing. But as people have said outside on the streets and also in the National Assembly, are you guaranteeing that with this increase in the tariff, you're going to get better service? They asked for 100%, they're getting 50%. Some would have said, increase your services first, then we can agree that you deserve it. But they've said, we can't increase quality of service if you don't give us. Now, you've gotten your tariff hike, even though it's just about a few weeks into it. And now we're hearing that we might get a shutdown anyway because of diesel. It's like, what do you want?
They just said that if they have to use their blood, they should use it to power their...
Which is why I'm saying, I don't think it's in anybody's best interest for there to be a telco blackout in this country. I don't think
anything is going to function.
Nigerians that thrive on banter. If you take
so we can't even rant on...
we can't even rant.
People actually have to open the doors and come out and say, bros, what's going on? You'll be doing like that.
Or maybe now the print media might actually...
You didn't hear when I was saying we'll start sending letters. And then you now see people, because we know how to, we're very business minded. You now see one guy who just comes in, you all send letter.
Let me go.
Run down the street or take his bicycle. All right, we can be laughing about this, but it's not funny. So let's go back to sort of the basis of the situation. We do have a package that highlights what is at the center of the strike. Take a look at this.
The Nigerian maritime workers and haulage operators are collaborating in a tripartite association comprising the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners (NATO), Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria (MAWUM), and the Association of Maritime Truck Owners (AMATO) to promote ease of doing business and protect the interest of maritime workers. In a press release issued in Lagos, they brought to the fore the increasingly provocative and exploitative activities of the committee set up by the Lagos state government to resolve the problem of traffic gridlock. They say the committee has derailed and is indulging in indiscriminate arrest and imposition of outrageous penalties on trucks they forcefully hijack while on their way from Brigades to the Lagos ports. They allege that these penalties, which range from 200,000 and 400,000 naira, are paid into private accounts rather than government accounts.
Recent incident involving truck release from Lily Pond Brigades, being a major brigade for Papa Port banned trucks, which the release of the said trucks was authoritatively directed by the Nigerian Ports Authority through the office of the Apapa Port Manager. Shockingly, all the trucks that were on the move following the directive of Nigeria Ports Authority were flagged down by members of the two committees and ordered to return to where they are coming from. And some of the trucks were forcefully arrested and slammed with their usual unregulated belts. In most cases, the trucks were being driven by them to their yard and later charged them to pay towing charges. Further to the above, we wish to bring to your esteemed attention the disheartening events of Thursday, 20th February 2025 at Terabi Apapa, during which the members of the committee, alongside a contingent of street urchins illegally acting at the committee's behest, attacked a group of all-age truck owners, drivers, and stakeholders who were in transit along the Apapa Port Road. This latest attack occurred during another bout of harassment, verbal and physical assault, and belligerent demands of outrageous among in penalties by members of these committee members.
The port manager, the managing director of MPA will not allow this 3 days ultimatum to come and nothing is being done. It's an appeal to them. If after 3 days nothing is done on this matter, I think there's what we call solidarity support that will come from Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria and the collaboration. I'm not sitting down here as President General of Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria. I'm equally sitting down here as Deputy President of Nigeria Labour Congress.
Before we move on, how many people are protesting? So maritime workers are protesting, Amalgamated Union of Truck Owners are protesting, petrol tanker drivers are protesting. At the end of the day, it does all center around the activities of people who are at the port, involved in the access to the port, involved in moving from the port. So we're all suffering because, or we're the potential to suffer, we are suffering because of probably a small group of people who have decided that that's where they want to build house.
Honestly, Nigeria, this level of impunity that we just act on, anybody that has a little bit of power like this, they will just want to take an arm and a leg and make sure that any small thing they would. Nigeria, we need
the committee that was set up that is now even in the spotlight.
You can imagine. You know, sometimes it astounds me when I see all these association of these truck driver owners. So there are people managing all these positions. Yes. We really need to do something about this before it becomes another thing that we have to now be managing. Or
we create another hydra-headed monster. Actually, we already have enough hydra-headed monsters in this country in different sectors.
We don't want to add more heads.
We don't need more.
And hydra, when you cut the head, it grows too much back.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, a story that's been making the rounds is the last story we'll take for you. Imagine being kidnapped, and then your kidnappers are telling you that you need to do a video to demand for donations for your ransom. The details after this.
Thank you very much for staying with us. We'll move on to our next story now, which is a story that has been making the rounds everywhere. But I promise you it's not going to make you feel any better compared to all the things that we have said today. In a video that surfaced online on Monday, a young man is seen beckoning on Nigerians for help to raise a ransom of 100 million naira. He appeared to be kidnapped and a gun was seen pointed at him. The young man has been identified as the Afenifere youth leader, Prince Eniola Ojajuni, who was reportedly kidnapped last week while on his way to Abuja. The kidnappers are threatened to kill him by 3 p.m. on Monday if his ransom wasn't paid. The video is what you're watching right now.
My big brother, Benso Ojakaraki, Badakunle Karaki, Ojajuni, sons and daughter, help me. Help me, they're giving me 3 p.m. tomorrow. They'll give me 3 p.m. tomorrow. That they will kill me tomorrow. Huh? Hello, good evening. Shifolushala, okay. Shifolushala, okay. Barrister Buadek Boruye. Barrister Sam Inwaya. And all Elijah lawyers. Hey, Nigerians, help me. Your 100,000, 50,000, 1 million will go a long way to save my life. My name is Prince Eniola Ojajuni. God bless you. Aderomu, please help me to spread this video.
The news report last Monday revealed that the kidnappers had also added 2 tricycles to the 100 million they demanded for failure to meet the timeline yesterday.
This story disturbs me.
You know, Tolu, remember when we talked about this kidnapping some years ago, like maybe last year, that if we don't stop this menace, it's going to become something that will become like a business.
Oh, it's a business.
It is a business now.
It's an established
People
business.
are doing this. Where are our security agencies?
No, so what disturbs me is Nigerians went into lines, into wherever it was to do NIN, to do BVN. You were told that all your SIMs had to be linked. I was actually, I think the last cutoff, I didn't know that one of my numbers was not linked, and I had to do it over the internet, imagine. But I linked it, and I'm thinking to myself, this thing is posted on a phone. It's posted on a phone. It's posted, let's even start with an account. There has to be one account, at minimum one account, that this video was first posted on. I'm hoping and I believe that they're tracking all the way down, because the video is everywhere now, but you're tracking down to let me say patient 0, to account 0 that this video was posted. But you've told people that all SIMs, majority of SIMs are linked to NIN. If they're not linked, they're banned or they're barred. His family and friends are getting phone calls as well. How are we in a situation where
we can't trace
where it seems, let's not say, because they could be working behind the scenes, but it seems that they are not being traced or they're intraceable. Is it not someone that was showing us, a terrorist who was showing money on TikTok?
It still wasn't traced.
I'm baffled. My flabber is gasted.
Do you know that sometimes when you watch even crime dramas, even from the environment, there are people that are specially trained to be able to, you know, connect the dots and know these things, and you just be wondering that, how are we supposed to live in this country? It was going to Abuja. There have been so many terrifying stories of people. I saw a story of a guy that was in one of these transport buses that was going to
I saw it.
You saw it?
Yes.
But he said, I saw the gun, they shot at the bus.
Their driver, that their driver kept going.
That the driver kept going until they got to a place where they could stop. And of course, some of them were hit by the bullets, at least the person on the side. And you're wondering that, what do we need to do to be secure?
And they had just left a checkpoint. They had just left a checkpoint.
Yes. So what disturbs me is the fact that many times we counter this school of thought or the speculation that there are people, influential people working behind these people. When we say it's like we don't want to hear it, but then what is with the selective rescue? We read a story some other time, and I held on to that story about, I think, some young children that were kidnapped, and then the police themselves, the security agency said, oh, they deployed some technological means to track the devices, and that was how they were able to rescue the children. And I'm wondering, if you can do that to rescue a particular set of people, why can't you multiply that effort?
Or the wife of a former retired, is it DIG? I'm not sure, don't quote me, but remember the story was out just a few weeks ago, and how she was quickly rescued within, I think, a few days. So it's possible.
Are we saying that they are doing, these things have become selective? Because if this guy cannot raise this money, how are we sure that he will not be killed? And there are some times that they would even pay this ransom, and their victims will still be killed.
Yes. And let's take reactions, and I'm happy you landed on that note as well, because even payment of ransom is not guaranteed that your loved one is coming out. Please, let's take some reactions. Sometimes I wish I had supernatural powers like Superman or Batman just to save this young man. Oh God, please send your angels to guide over this soul. This is heartbreaking. Can't they track with the video? This is really sad to watch. How long are we going to keep letting these guys have their way? Because that's how it feels for many Nigerians, as if everything has just been let go for it to continue. We need to get it right with security in our country, because how can kidnappers be so bold? God, please, this is so heartbreaking. Afenifere is a major political force. If their youth leader isn't safe, what does that say about security in Nigeria? It says that at the end of the day, we're all responsible for securing ourselves, and even that,
you cannot even
guarantee.
You cannot guarantee. Honestly, in Nigeria, we need a lot of help. This is not something that should just be seen. And if these kidnappers are caught now, maybe after they have been charged, they will be asking us that they need to be reintegrated into the society.
Asking us?
They'll be asking the courts.
No, they don't need to ask, because
Look
they
at
will
what they are
offer it to
doing.
them as a platform.
Because when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking of Evans. How his victims must have felt in hearing that they might be killed, and they would collect money, and it's just a lot to process in your head. It's a lot to process. We cannot, this man, I just pray with his family. I pray that
and any other victim
of kidnapping, because nobody is safe on the road. That's why you won't see me wear Ashwabi and be following anybody to any long distance celebration.
I think we need to apologize because this was a very sobering and slightly depressing show today. Let's go.
Anyway,
let's go and find our joy out there.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. We sincerely apologize, but honestly, that's the reality of Nigeria, and we would ask that you please stay safe. You know, they say alone, no showing. It's God that protects, but at the end of the day, do your best to stay safe. Thank you so much. See you again.